If somebody were to ask you who you are, coffee shop, bar, whatever, what would you say the answer to that is?
I have changed my answers many, many times. Most recently, I'm an explorer. Literally, I love traveling. I love going to other countries. I love exploring other cultures. But really, I'm with my most recent pivot, I'm exploring my clients, I'm exploring my own life. I'm curious. I've been, having been the LinkedIn expert for 18 years, I kind of got into a rut of I know everything about LinkedIn. And now that I've shifted my focus, it's really fun to be curious and just kind of let the universe surprise you and let the people that you meet surprise you. And yeah, and I think that's what makes exploration so fun because there's always something new.
Yes, that's what I love about these podcasts and these conversations.
Yeah.
There's no pre-prepped questions. It's just an
No.
exploration together, which is awesome. I love that. So let's get into the new venture then. So what are you doing as
Yeah.
opposed to the 18 years of knowing everything about LinkedIn? I didn't even know LinkedIn was around for that long. It's amazing. 18.
Yeah, 2003.
Wow, no
Oh, I
kidding.
got I got into it late at like 2006.
Oh yeah, that sounds late.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy? What's
Yeah,
that?
I said, oh yeah, it sounds really late.
Yeah, yeah, I know, right? I think there were like, I think was it 7 or 12 million people on LinkedIn when I got onto it. So I thought I was late. I thought I was late. Now it's, close to a billion. So that's crazy. And never
Wow.
mind Facebook and Instagram and all of that. Yeah. So about a year ago, I had that feeling like, oh, there's got to be more to life than this. And I started playing around with the idea of maybe I leave my corporate position with the company that we had built, which we had just shifted into being a software company. So I also didn't really feel like I belonged there anymore. And
Interesting.
what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? So I spent almost a year really exploring the possibilities. And I came back to basically, I couldn't find the roadmap that I needed to make the shift out of corporate and into doing yet another entrepreneurial business. And so I'm like, oh, I'll just write it. And as I talk to women, I work mostly with women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, i.e. myself, that they also were looking for, some kind of guidance because they were also feeling overwhelmed, trapped, burned out, etc. And so they weren't ready to retire, or as my friend Rick says, they weren't ready to retire, but they wanted to rewire. So I'm like, you got to TM that one, baby. But they were ready to rewire, but they just weren't sure like how to do that. And many of them weren't sure what their next business was going to look like. And a lot of them had a book in them that they wanted to get out. A lot of them felt like it was time for them to be on stage, but with a different message. And so I started going, okay, there's a business here. And so I created my business now, which is Beyond the Dream Board, because we dream boards are great, vision boards are great, having goals are great. You need all of those things. And then once you've achieved them all, you're like, okay, now what? Because we've
Right.
got the houses, we've got the cars, we've got the family, we've got the clothes, we've got the things, we've got the computers, we've got the phones. We have all the things, we've had the experiences. Like, now what? And
Mm.
again, this is especially for women, I think, 50 and older, like that have been spending their whole lives trying to achieve something in the world, and now they're like going, oh my gosh, like it feels confining. It's like a Teflon suit I'm wearing then, and I don't know how to take it off.
Mm.
So that became the focus then of my business. Like, let me help you remove that Teflon business suit. Let's find out what's underneath all that. Let's create a business from it, and then let's help you launch it, because I've got all of that experience, as the LinkedIn expert, as the spiritual coach, as a sales and marketing expert. So I'm uniquely qualified for that particular group of people to help them make those next steps and
Interesting.
explore what's possible.
In the exploration again. I love it. Yeah, see,
Yes,
that's so
exactly.
interesting. That's but it's interesting though, because when people get a goal accomplished, then they always have to
Yeah,
go for something else. That's just human
right.
nature, right? And that's why I don't
Yeah,
understand the whole like get a job and be in the same position. I don't understand it. And people seem very happy with it. I don't get it. It's like doing
me
the
either.
same fucking thing every day. It's like Jesus, man. You gotta yeah,
I know,
whatever.
like, kill me
Whatever.
now.
Like,
I
yeah, I
seriously.
know kidding. Yeah, but like people like it. I don't get it, but
Yeah.
whatever. For us as
Well, you know,
entrepreneurs,
it's
we're
the
always
way people were
chasing something.
raised.
Oh,
Yeah,
maybe
it's but
you
they
know,
were
nature
raised,
and
right?
nurture, who knows, like the
Yeah,
company,
yeah, like, you gotta raise your family, you know, you've gotta
right?
have that kind of stability.
Purity,
You've
yeah.
got to, you know, the only way to rise through the ranks is to stick to it, and 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like, to your generation, certainly, and even to my generation, it's like, "Oh my God, bleh," which is, I
Yeah.
think, why my generation, like, really took to entrepreneurship, and, of course, now we've got so many great tools, like, why well, first of all, there is no such thing, you know, there is no such thing as staying in a company for 20, 30 years anymore. You know, I don't yeah, I just think like yeah, it's just it's not gonna happen. So we might as well just go for what really brings us joy and happiness.
So the question becomes how do you know what brings you joy and happiness? How do you know what to reach
Yeah.
for once you hit the goal? Once you're
Yeah.
at the spot, doesn't matter the age, you can because I'm hitting
Yeah.
goals all the time and then there's gotta be
Yeah.
something new. So how do you know, like you personally, how do you know what to reach for next after you've reached that goal?
You know, it's so simple, but it took me so, so long to learn this. Most of the goals that I created up until, you know, a year ago were all external, either
Mm,
things, actual things, house, car, etc., or externally prompted. You know, I want the thought leadership of being the LinkedIn expert. I want to stand on stages. I want to, you know, write books. Like, but it was all externally focused or guided.
mm,
Um, we are all born knowing exactly what we were put on this earth to do. Like, I firmly believe that when we're young, we're playing in that role already. And then we forget about it because we're told, no, no, you know, you can't make a living as a painter or an artist or a musician or speaking on a stage or, you know, doing little plays for your family. You know, you can't make a living doing that. And so then we're like, okay, well, I can make a living in software. I can make a really good living, you know, designing apps. I can do a really good living, you know, speaking and on business stuff. And so we go off in that direction, which I've done not once, not twice, but like 4 times. I can see in my life when it presented me with a perfect pivot opportunity,
mm.
1997, 2007. It's all the sevens, right? 2007, 2017, and finally
Interesting. Every 10
2024.
years, yeah. So you got another
Yeah,
2
yeah.
years for the next one, so let's see what happens.
Exactly,
But it sounds like you
exactly.
took
I
this
think
one,
I'm
like,
on it. I think this is
you
it
took this
because
one 4
this
years
is
early this time, eh?
exactly. But 7 years since the last time it happened, right? So it's this pivot for me is 100% internal. Like it's there's such a yes now
Mm,
that there's no question. There's no question. Now, will what I'm doing right now morph? Yes, I'm already getting downloads about what that looks like.
mm.
But for right now, I'm good. I'm good doing what I'm doing and working with the people that I'm working with. And
You say you're getting downloads, what does that mean?
thank you. Yes, different than I get downloads too, but
Yeah.
no. So I strongly believe that we need to tap in, right? We need to tap inside. And so whatever that looks like for people, for me, every morning for and not everyone can has the time or needs to do it this much, but for me, for like 2 hours every morning, journaling, meditating, um, yeah, basically journaling, meditating, reading, but usually somewhere in that combination, I'll get information. Like I
Mm.
knew my new book was couldn't be called Beyond the Dream Board, which is also the name of my business, which is also the name of my program, which was going to be the name of my podcast, but then I decided not to do a podcast. So I knew the book was coming, but I didn't know what was going to be in the book, right? And what I have learned is don't try and force it either, because you can't force the universe.
Mm.
And so anyway, I
Mm.
got the download, like all of the chapters. I got the information in the
Interesting.
middle of my meditation. And truly the ideas for my business, the logo, like everything about my business and about my life right now comes to me during those very, very important morning periods. Now, my husband, who I've been trying to get to journal for like years, he journals one line a day. He just journals one line a day, and he gets great information writing one line a day, which takes him like 5 minutes, two
Hmm.
hours, 5 minutes. Who's smarter? I don't know, maybe him.
If he's getting
But
the info, if he's getting the
yeah,
download.
if he's getting the info, I'm just saying. But yeah, when we tap in, first of all, you have to be in alignment with what you actually were put on this earth to do. But when you tap into that, it's amazing what the universe conspires to support you. Like out of the blue, I'll get a client and I'm like, how did you even hear about me? Right. Or I'll get an invitation to a podcast. Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it. Right. I'll get introduced to a journalist who wants me to write an article. I get featured on magazines. I'm like, really? Okay, sure. Let's do it. And they're kind of out of the blue. But that's Gabby Bernstein calls it driftwood. Like that's when I know, or maybe it's Tasha Silver. I don't know. One of them. I get these little pieces of driftwood that are indication as I go through the flow of my life. Like yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. And so that's I don't give short answers. You probably figured
No, I
that one
love it.
out.
No, hell, that's what
That's
this
the
is all
download.
about. That's what this is all about. Give it to me. I want to download. Come on. I love journaling personally. I've been journaling detailed for the last 7 or 8 years, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to being able to upload it to an AI and have the AI understand me and be an extension of my psyche and be able to
Yes.
give me very specific, detailed, we can go back and forth with ChatGPT, but if it
Yeah.
understood you better than any human, I mean,
Yeah.
right? So we don't
There's
know.
no limit to what you could do as
Yeah.
far as like coaching, counseling, designing,
Yeah.
marketing, sales. Like I know that's seasoning. My friend Jordash Johnson calls it seasoning the pan. And that was the game changer for me using, I mean, I use AI all the time. Um, and I was getting crap. Like I was just getting shit results. And he's like, well, did you season the pan? Like, what do you mean by that? So yeah, the more you can put of yourself into the
Mm.
AI, the better the results are going to be, period. And yeah, thank God for AI, because I could not have built the business that I have now as quickly as I did without it.
No
So I
kidding.
love that bit that I freaking love right now that we've got this AI, artificial intelligence, or I like my friend calls it assisted intelligence. I'm like, okay, I'll take that one too. And then like the spirituality, like what the fuck? It's so cool.
What do you mean the spirituality of just what's going on in your life right now?
Yeah, just what's going on with my life. But and this was one of the pivots. So back in 2007, like I was fascinated by quantum physics, and the idea that we are in a multiverse and all the things. Like that's a whole other 2 hour long conversation. And
More
that
than
was kind of the beginning.
that.
Which we should totally have one day. And that
Beyond
was kind of the
time.
beginning of social media, right? That's when Facebook, LinkedIn had been around for a couple of years, but but certainly at the beginning of Facebook. And so all of a sudden, we, for the first time ever, had the opportunity for millions of people to be knowing the same thing, thinking the same thing, reading the same thing, reacting the same. And it really had like a quantum feel to it. This is before it was politicized and
Hmm.
like back when it was pure, right? Back when it was pure, it was the first time we'd ever had that opportunity to be in this quantum flow. And so for me, that quantum physics and social media, I was like, oh my gosh, there's some real coolness there. There's some really, and then quantum thought, like think, you think and it will be so, or whatever the sayings are. There's tons of them. Like, right. So focus on what you want and you can create it. Like, and then here's social media supporting that, like giving you a voice, giving you an audience. And there was just such a cool connection there.
Hmm.
And so fast forward 20 years almost, 17 years, because seven. If you fast forward 17
Another
years, and
7,
now we,
yeah.
yeah, right. I mean, I was just like, okay, which is a whole other thing, right? But yeah, fast forward, and now we've got this artificial intelligence, which is taking the menial drudgery out of our lives. I mean, it is for
Yeah,
me. It
no
can for
kidding.
other people.
Yeah.
Like, bleh, and it's taking all that
No
away.
kidding.
So,
That's
right?
exactly it. Yeah, like did all this shit I
Exactly.
don't want to do, and then I'll focus on the shit I
Right.
want to do, and it's working great. It is
It's
only getting
working
better.
great. Exact, and that's what allows our true voices to come out, because now we're not spending time writing sales scripts, and we're not spending time
Mm,
writing websites, and we're not spending,
yeah.
okay, I do still like to write. I mean, I write books, so I do still like to write, so I still write blog posts. But you bet I have ChatGPT sometimes give me an outline if I can't formulate, or
Yeah. Mm.
get me information, although always check it because ChatGPT lies.
And
Um,
it's certain about it too. I know.
yeah, I know. I'm like, I was helping someone with their LinkedIn profile, and it came up with this really cool fact or stat. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Can you cite that for me? It's like, and it literally said, well, I just made it up because it sounded good.
I'm just giving you what you want to hear. And you got to
Yeah,
be
I was
careful
giving
with
you
the
what you wanted to
bias that
hear.
well, like if you want an objective, a purely objective
Yeah,
feedback from it, you got to tell it like, dude, ignore
yeah,
the biases, like what you think I want to hear in this, and give me the straight objective feedback based on the collective of everybody that you've studied. It's like, so
exactly.
you got to be careful with that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
It's
And
so
you just
cool.
said the word, right? Collective. Like, we've got this information from the collective. It just reminds me of the board,
Yeah,
right? But it's, I mean, but on a spiritual level, that's metaphysics. That's
yeah,
quantum
yeah,
physics,
yeah.
right? And the line between metaphysics and quantum physics, like, it's really hard to differentiate now. And I think AI is a big part of that. It's really just a freaking cool time to be alive.
No kidding. I know. And like, who knows what's going to happen in like 30
I
years from now?
know.
It's going to be like, I can't imagine it.
Yeah, we can't, because the leaps and bounds we're making,
Yeah.
and people
Yeah.
are terrified of AI, and I get why. I mean, I'm very polite. I am so polite to Magi and to ChatGPT, because when if it does take over, I want it to save me. So I'm very, very polite to my AI. But truly, this is allowing us, should we choose to go there, right? This is allowing us to let what is most innately human and brilliant and beautiful and powerful
Hmm.
in our human experience, we can now let that out, and
Unhindered by all the
unhindered,
minutia.
unhindered,
Yeah.
in quantum time. Like, it's so freaking cool.
On this subject, you mentioned giving up
Yeah.
control, not forcing is the word that you used.
Yeah.
How do you do that? I mean, how do you make it so like you can really give up control? Because it's difficult in practice. It's easy to say, but actually practicing it, and especially when you have something like practical in your life that you feel like you need to
Yeah.
control, but trying to
Yeah.
control it really only takes it down the opposite path that you want it to go a lot of the time. How do you
Yeah.
Right? And so how do you give up that control and not force things, just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah, yeah. So control, I should have said giving up my control of ego. Because it's always the ego that is afraid and trying to protect us. And I wrote a post. No, I didn't. I did an Instagram post on it the other day. And I'm walking my dog, and my dogs and I are walking. We're walking along. We're walking. We're great. We're great. And then there's like this field with all these elk in it, and my
Mm.
dog loses his shit, like just go,
Ah.
right? And there happened to be a stop sign right in front of us. And I'm like, oh, my ego is a dog, right? My ego is a dog. It is there to protect me. But when it sees something that it thinks is going to hurt me, it's going to freaking lose its shit. It's going to
Mm.
go off.
Mm.
And you got to stop, because there was the stop sign, right? You got to stop and be like, and look at where is this reaction I'm having coming from? Where is this react? Is it fear based? Yes.
Mhm.
90% of the time, if it's ego based, it's fear based. Is it fear based? And is it really protecting me, or is it just reacting out of fear? Right. And most of the time, we can tell when we're clenching or when we're open. It's literally your body clenching. That's the control piece. That's the fear piece. And so I'm not perfect at this. Don't get me wrong. Like I'd be Buddha if I was perfect at this. And other than the belly, we're not there. But I am, there's two things, right? I am able to go, sit dog sit. Like
Mm, mm.
let's step back, sit dog sit. I literally will say sit dog sit. And like, okay, where's this reaction coming from? Oh, it's fear. Is there something better? Is there something that I can't even begin to imagine? And it's hardest when you first start down this path because you haven't had the experience of it. You haven't had the driftwood floating by constantly and giving you the, yes, you're on the right path. Yes, you're on the right path. Yes, you're on the right path. You still have the bills coming up. You say, it's just like, it's so hard to let that go. One of the reasons I work with women, older women, who have been very, very successful is we have bank accounts and savings. And so it's way easier for us because, all right, I did well on ChatGPT. I did well on Bitcoin. Like I'll just cash in my quarter coin or whatever. And that'll float me for the next 3 months. Like I have the ability to do that. Whereas when you're younger, maybe you don't have like 30 grand in savings to just float you along until things happen. But what I have found is I haven't actually had to cash that Bitcoin in yet because I'm just in this space of trust and openness, and I mean, we're the good stuff, not the shit, the good stuff. We get it. Like I'm getting it. It's so cool. It's so fun. Every day it's like Christmas because I'm like, and here's a gift, and here's a gift, and here's a conversation that you weren't expecting that you're totally
Mm.
loving. And here's a check that you weren't expecting because the person like owes it from 6 years ago and they finally
Ha,
decided to pay. And
yeah.
it's like, it's so cool. I wanted to buy this app today, and I'm like, oh, I think I remember seeing a discount code on that. It was like 90% off. I'm like, cool. $30 instead of 299. Awesome. Like it's just like, yay. So I made 270. I get that from shopping
Ha,
for shoes. It's like,
okay.
but baby, I just saved $180. I only paid 40. I saved 180.
Yeah, okay,
That's shoe
okay.
shopping.
But this is also ego. When we're
It is.
talking about
It's
buying
100%
shoes,
ego. It's
yeah.
100%
You
ego.
you you separated me and ego because you're talking about
Yeah.
the self and ego.
Yeah.
You said you
Yes.
called it a dog, which is funny. Elaborate on that separation that you've identified.
Yeah, because who we truly are, and maybe I'm getting a little too woo-woo here, but
No, no, no,
who
no. This
I
is woo
believe we
woo.
truly are, like we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We are beings of love. And pretty much from the moment we're popped out, and some believe before we're even popped out, all of this stuff starts happening to us in order so that we can learn to be even bigger beings of love and have even greater experiences. And all of these lessons, they come, they come, they come. And unfortunately, most of us react to the lessons and the fear that they evoke. Because let's face it, most lessons we call them AFGOs, another fun or another fucking growth experience. Those things begin to weigh on us, right? We begin to build armor. It's kind of the armor that I was talking, the Teflon suit that I was talking about
Mm,
earlier, right? That armor starts to build on us and we feel like it's us. Like this stuff is piling on us like mud, and we feel like it's us because it looks like us, we think, clay version of us, and we feel so
mm,
constrained by it. Who we are is still very much alive inside, but you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it by the way we look and act most of the time. And so that ego, right? That ego is just piling the mud on. It's just protecting us. It's just protecting us and piling the mud on.
mm,
So when we act or are in that flow, that we call it love, whatever we want to call it, when we're in that divine flow, it's like we take speaking of water, right? It's like we take a bath and that mud starts to
mm,
float off of us, right? That mud
mm,
starts to release itself from us and we can start to move and feel and experience. And like literally we start to experience, like if you've ever gotten chills because you've heard something or seen something, like that good chills, not bad chills. that's that's that inside inner being, that divine being going, yes.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the podcast, and I want to let you know that I've got a free book that you can get if you want to tap into more of these resources. And you can get that for free at kylesbook.com. Back to the podcast.
And if when we're covered with mud, we just don't, we can have all the success in the world and we're unhappy. And then we're on medication. And then we're like just all the things we're into porn, we're into like gotta feel something, we're into adventure sports. I'm a hang glider pilot and a scuba diver, and I'm taking up paragliding, so I'm
Oh.
there too with everybody. But we want to feel more, we want to feel more, we want to feel more, and then there's more mud, and then we want to feel more, and then more mud comes on. Like it's a tough cycle, but if we can get into that flow, get into the water flow, it starts to loosen up, drift away. And then once you've been in it for a while, you're like, oh, I'm not going back. I'm
Right.
not going back. Even offer all the freaking money in the world, I am not going back to that.
How would you describe that state? It's just a lack of trying to force things, that you're just flowing with it, right? And things kind of tend
Yeah,
to
yeah, you're
align
just, I
themselves.
mean,
Like
it's,
Forrest Gump was
yeah,
inadvertently using exactly what you're talking about, not
yeah, like because he was
intentionally.
egoless, right?
Right, so it's
Forrest
just
Gump,
like,
yeah,
yeah, I wouldn't say egoless, but like I think like the way I look at ego is we have to have an ego to know that
yeah,
we're separate. And so
yes,
if I'm
yeah,
eating pasta, I want to make sure I'm putting it in my mouth and not yours.
right.
So like that's why we need an ego. Otherwise, you don't know. There is then it's infinite. And so the ego is a sort of
Yeah,
the way I look at it is well, I look at it as imagine a concert hall and there's a stage, and my
yeah,
ego sits on the stage, and then surrounding it are the archetypes in the which are the
yeah,
sections in
yeah.
the theater, and then the complexes. This is it. I think I got this from Carl Jung. The kind of
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds very Jungian. Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and then the complexes
Absolutely.
are within the archetypes, and sometimes they
Yeah,
come up to the stage and take the mic when you're
yeah,
emotional, and so then you,
yeah,
what you're talking about, you step back and you say, "Wait, I got some mud on me here." And then how do you
yeah.
bathe? How do you bathe the mud off? What's your tactic for that?
Yeah, and I think that's really where my morning practice comes in, because it
Yeah.
allows that's my shower. That's my like spirit shower. I mean, some people literally do that. They'll visualize the white light coming down and cleaning them off.
Oh yeah.
And I want to make, I thank you for bringing that up. Like the ego's not bad. The ego is
Yeah.
just there to protect us. But you're absolutely right. The ego can be our friend. And the ego can protect us, and sometimes we need that protection. Whee! Because
True.
I love my dog, but I hate when he barks at me, or barks too much. But yeah, so we do need the ego, but we need to be aware of it. We need to be aware that it's just a part of ourselves, and not the best part of ourselves necessarily, that it's a tool that we use and that it doesn't use us. But yeah, for me, it's whatever people, however they tap in, right? Meditation, journaling, yoga. Oh my gosh, I wish I was bendy, but I'm not. Like yoga, ecstatic dance, the Sufis with the twirling, breath work, the breathing thing, mushrooms. What
There we
like what
go.
I mean, marijuana, I hate it. Like I took an edible once, and then nothing was happening. So then I took the other
Oh
half, and
yeah,
then it
there
all
we
like
go.
hit me at once.
Yeah,
I'm like, I am never fucking doing this again. But yeah, and I'm kind of just playing with the ideas of plant medicine. Like I don't do it in my own life, but I see where people like Michael, it's not Michael, is it Michael Port? Michael Moore, Michael Port, Michael, whoever his name is. He just wrote a book about mushrooms, and where we can overcome years and years of trauma, and forego years and years and years of therapy with one trip, if it's guided the right way. Now, I haven't been there and I haven't done it, and I don't know that this is true, but I feel like, and then the woo woo and the mother earthness of me comes out and goes, these plants were grown for us. They can kill us or they can make us better, so maybe there is something to that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring that too, because why not?
Interesting. I love it. Terence
Yeah,
McKenna talked about his theory of evolution, whereas apes to humans, it
yeah.
started with the cow pie, the mushrooms that they found, and
Ah,
it sparked our
and
consciousness. That's his theory on it. It's interesting.
that's cool. I kind of like that theory.
It's an interesting theory. He had some
Yeah.
interesting things to say, that guy.
Yeah.
But where I got the Jungian kind of it fit. I learned about the Jungian, I don't know, theater, you could say. There's all kinds of metaphors for it. I use the theater metaphor. I learned about that
Yeah.
because it fit with my LSD experiences. And so I had a lot of LSD experiences when I was, and then one time I took a lot of it, and it was an interesting experience. That's why I asked
Yeah.
you the question where it came from self to ego. Where do you find
Yeah.
that differentiation there? Because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
take enough
Because,
psychedelics, you can
yeah,
access the true self,
that's
which
right.
you can't speak that heavy enough. It's, I mean,
Yeah.
but then I don't know how to talk. You can't talk about it. That's the thing.
You
Words,
can't talk. Well, and that's it.
yeah, words can't
It's,
do it.
yeah, I remember it wasn't LSD, but I feel like it was probably similar. I was doing breath work in my 20s. And yeah, I hit that spot where there was no differentiation. There was me and the universe, and we were one. And like,
Mhm.
you could have asked me any question and I could have answered it. And I mean, it was truly, I was one with the universe, and it was just through this breath work. I mean, it was insane. And I mean, the glow, like things were glowing, and there was no, and I could see through my hand. And I mean, it was just freaking cool.
Mm.
And how do you explain that to someone? Sounded crazy. And
Yeah,
that was one of those, right? That was one of those opportunities where I could have made the shift, and I didn't, and whatever. But yeah, but I don't think we can, and that's where to your point, that's where the ego comes in, because I don't think we can live in that space. I mean,
you can't. I mean, like people say
yeah,
that you can, like highly enlightened people. Alan Watts talked
right.
about living the detached life, and so he would
Yeah,
observe the ego and live through that
yeah,
detachment. I personally
yeah.
can't do it for more than 10 seconds. Let's say
Right.
I find myself slapping back into it, which
Yeah,
so it takes meditation to be able to get there. But
yeah.
I mean, so you got some mushroom trips in your future then. You've never done
I
them
do.
before?
I do actually. Yes. Yes, I do. So we'll see how that, and the whole idea of microdosing, to sharpen the mind. Like, and again, I don't know how this syncs with AI, but it's like the sharper our minds are and the better our prompts become, like our
Yeah.
internal prompts, right? The better the results of our work is going to be, and the more people that we can touch. And so it's like there's just so much cool stuff happening right now.
Yeah, it's
Cool
amazing.
time to be alive. And
It's
that's where the metaverse, I'm like, surely what did I do to deserve to be alive at the most interesting time possible? Like, this is so freaking cool. Like, I'm so
yeah.
glad I wasn't born in 1820 or 2000 or 1020 or whatever, you
Yeah,
know
the
what I mean?
Dark
And
Ages.
that's where the
Yeah,
whole
right.
multiverse thing comes in, because maybe we're experiencing everything at once, including this very, very cool time to be alive.
Experiencing everything at once.
Yeah. The holy
Collapsing
instant.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. When are your mushroom trips coming up? You've never done them before?
Yeah, yeah. I've actually got a women's retreat coming up in May.
May, how do you feel about that? Damn.
I'm excited. No, I'm super excited about it. And then a friend of mine has a retreat center in Costa Rica. So one of the things that I want to do with my women is hold retreats there. And so that's 2025. But I figure I'm all about preaching what I practice, like not practicing what I preach, but actually preaching what I practice. So I have to put it into practice first. So before I start telling other people that they need to be doing shrooms, I gotta try them out myself.
Yeah, well, good luck. I think you're gonna have a beautiful experience with them. Seriously, like with your
I think
viewpoint.
it's all about the nurturing. It's all about, yeah, it's all about your surroundings. And are you in a nurturing surrounding or chaotic?
Yeah, yeah. It's the set and setting is the classical term
Yep,
for that. Yeah.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly so.
so it's beautiful. I've never done acid with anybody else. I was only
Yeah.
alone for every time because it was a
Oof.
real self-exploration. And
Right, for
yeah,
sure.
and it helped with that. Really so, more than I could say. but it's, you know, everything has its downsides, and it
Yeah.
also caused some issues.
Yeah.
Taking too much of it at once, and like, you know, so like
Exactly.
you gotta
Yeah.
work your way
Yeah.
up to that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah, but it can be a very beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Words.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Next month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Next
It's,
month. Woo.
exciting. I love it. Okay, so let's get off of the this track because
Yeah.
because like I said,
As
we're
we get a new audience and leave and lose some of the rest.
well, like, where do we take it from there? You know,
I know.
it's a business podcast, but I think this is, you know, it kind of speaks to the cohesion, the wholeness, the holistic view of how you can view it. So,
Yeah.
it's interesting. But I do want to get into the LinkedIn a little bit with you. Would it be
Sure.
ridiculous
Yeah.
if I asked you a little bit about that?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I still use it in my business because branding's such a important part of helping women find their voices and amplify their voices. So yeah, ask away.
It feels so weird to come back to it. It's like we went
I know. It's like,
like this to like,
and
oh, you know. But like I said, the only words can take us only so far with that. And so I want
exactly.
to
That's so true.
oh, it's just spiritual there. I see. Okay. I got
Yeah.
distracted. I can look in the background
I
here.
got like meditate, spiritual, and girl boss. I think she's hidden though.
What are the books? What are the books there?
Oh, the books they're my books. They're the ones I've written.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, awesome. So
So there's my meshing of like
there
both
we
my
go. And
girls.
so that's the meshing of the conversation. So that allows me to take it back. So
Exactly. And they are all on LinkedIn right now.
perfect. So
So
there we go. So what have people told you has been the number one takeaway from those books?
yeah, I think well, first of all, the first book was written in 2010. So number one takeaway from that is like don't write a book on social media because
This is changing so quick.
inevitably the second you publish it, they're going to change the whole UI. Which LinkedIn has done that on me 3 times now. I publish a book, they change the entire UI. I'm not saying I rule like LinkedIn, but it's just a very interesting coincidence. So yeah, there's the takeaway is don't read a book on social media. But but realistically, the later books are from my Daily Success 101 series that I did with Dana Steele. And I think what people like about them is like any social media that you go to, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, there's so many different layers and levels and features and strategies. Like it's over freaking whelming. And no one wants to sit down. Like my first book was, I don't know what, 378 pages or 412 pages. I know it's a lot of pages. Like no one's going to sit down and read a social media book. But the 101 books are like literally bite-sized pieces. So what people have said is they really like that they can go in and go, okay, one bite-sized piece a day, like it's less than a 1 minute read in most cases, or it's less than a 1 minute strategy in many cases. And I can get what I need out of LinkedIn. I can have it serve me. And so and actually I lied. My most recent book is 101 Ways to Rock Change. And while I talk about LinkedIn in it a lot, it's really more about shifting from executive to entrepreneur. So 3 LinkedIn books and 1 non-LinkedIn book. But there's so much you can do with LinkedIn. And especially, I mean, the reason I didn't leave it out of the new book is because as you're rebranding, whether you've got a new job, you are starting a new business, you're moving into a new industry, whatever the rebrand looks like, you're doing a complete and utter pivot with your life. You can start with LinkedIn and you can create that kind of landing page effect from your background image to your headline to the featured content that you share to to your about section, which is essentially a sales page, to all of the other, to your endorsements and your recommendations, which is essentially, it's essentially TripAdvisor or not TripAdvisor. So what's one I'm like anyway, it's a rating. It's
We're
your
back to
rating.
trips here. We're back to you got
Yeah,
a
you're
mustard
back to
trip coming
trips. So yeah.
It brought us way back.
Yeah, you're just lucky you're not going to be a 50-year-old woman with like holes in her brain. It's so funny. I can't think of the word, but anyway, it's your ranking. It's your ranking. It's what other people say about you. It's your testimonials. It's your referrals. So you can get all of that for free, built now with AI. I mean, oh my gosh, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this. It used to take us a full 3 weeks and a literal stable of writers to move our clients through their LinkedIn profile makeovers, and then me guiding them through it, and oh my gosh, and then a workbook and blah. Now I can get, using Magi, I can get on and using one of its personas, I can get the information I need. I take that, I pop it into ChatGPT. I know ChatGPT theoretically is in Magi, but whatever, it doesn't work. I can pop that into Magi, and I can write, 15, 20, 30 headlines. Choose your favorite one, right? 5, 6, 7 about sections. Like, choose your favorite one, tweak, tweak, tweak. We're done in an hour. And that allows me to spend more time with them, helping them with posting strategies, which again, if you've got if you got the pan seasoned, it's really easy to get a week's worth of posts in a matter of literally minutes. And now that we can schedule on LinkedIn, I can even give them to my VA or do it myself, go in and schedule those posts for the next week, the next month, whatever, and then I can go into ChatGPT and go, here's my ICP, my ideal client profile. What are their biggest points of pain? Blech. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Can you now write me a messaging sequence and follow? When we were with Vengresso, we called it PVC. We want to personalize it to my buyer persona or the individual, add value, and then a call to action, but I don't want it to be pushy or salesy. Like, don't do a sales pitch until the third or fourth message, and it will like literally deliver it to me. Now, it's not perfect yet, but it's a lot closer and we're a lot further ahead. And I can get my clients from A to Z in 3 sessions in what literally used to be a full year program. Like, it's nuts.
Wow.
It's nuts.
What do you
So
think about like when it actually comes to getting clients from it, as opposed to, because yeah, we can use it to revamp our profile, and there are all kinds of
yeah,
ways to do that. I like how you get multiple
yeah,
options. You can base it off the most successful headlines or the
yeah,
most successful bios with the most connections and followers. It'll do that research, or you just go and
exactly.
find those profiles, copy and paste the profile over, and tell it to make one similar for you with your target
Exactly. You
audience.
could do that too. Yep.
Yeah, and then I've got like
100%. Yeah.
60, I've got 60 pre-written prompts, which are so cool because like
Yeah.
anything that I want, I've
Love
got
that.
like 30 pages of a single prompt. I don't mean 30 pages of
Yeah.
prompts. I mean 30 pages in one prompt. And so because
Yeah.
what you can do is you can ask it, okay, what's the best kind of prompt I could have if I want to achieve X goal? And then afterwards
Be
I say,
like,
right, it's in it, and
yeah.
then you can say, what else can I add to it, based on,
Yeah.
to really get to this goal better. It'll give me like, so at the end of it, I've got 30 pages of awesome prompting that I didn't have to really
Oh
create
my God.
myself because I
I
had it
love
create
that. That
itself.
is
Yeah,
awesome.
it is
That's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Learning to think in a way that allows me to use it in a way that's empowering for
Yeah.
sure. But when it comes to
And
actually,
that right there, we'll go back to LinkedIn in a second, but that kind of 30,000 foot, like, that's quantum thinking. Like, you're the observer. Like, you're not in it, right? You're the observer looking at what can be created.
yeah,
You're
it's
not in the middle
meta.
of it going, but I need this, but I need that. You're like the observer. Like,
Yeah.
that's really amazing. And not everyone can think like you do. I mean, not everyone thinks about thinking about that,
Yeah,
right?
right. Yes,
Not
exactly.
everyone is in that observer
It's the
mind. A lot of
meta.
us are just too in it. But the meta,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Not everyone could be meta, not everyone could be observing mind. But when you can be, that's when we get the quantum, the exponential shifting that goes on.
And I couldn't
Like,
have
even with
yeah.
LinkedIn.
And there you go. And it goes the practical, right? To the like earth.
Yeah, it
It's
goes
it's
right to
the
the practical.
50,000 feet and feet on the ground at the same
Yep,
time. And
at the same time.
I couldn't have thought like that without all the acids. It's true.
See, exactly.
100%. Yeah. I learned how to
And
think
we're back
with
to
it.
acid.
And we're back to it, man. Okay, back to getting clients with LinkedIn. It's hard for me to go from that to this,
I know.
but you've
I
got
know. And then
value
I
that I
hear
want to
something like what you
extract.
said. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's observer mind. Like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to LinkedIn. So yeah, with and clearly this is not rated PG, which I'm really glad about because my filthy mouth comes out after like working with corporate for so long. Um, what was my point? Oh, selling with LinkedIn. So you can't actually, even though we had social selling with LinkedIn, like our course was literally about selling with LinkedIn. You can't actually sell on LinkedIn, but you can create conversations. So you're
Mm.
never, I mean, oh my God, don't even get me started on automation. That's the Borg right there. Like everyone is using automation wrong on LinkedIn.
How
I've
so?
never seen anyone use it right because
Okay.
A, they, hmm?
I said, okay, tell me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, anyone who's still listening to us, look, go to LinkedIn, look at your inbox and look at all the messages there. It's buy my shit, buy my shit, buy my shit. Like,
Yeah.
and most of the time they get your name wrong. They 100% get your ICP wrong. People, because Vivek is a very, very common Indian name for a dude. I'm Viveka. And so I get a lot of dear sirs. Um, my favorite one was, I noticed you're in the office supply cleaning industry. If you need more great leads like this, reach out. I'm like, you got it wrong on like every level. No, I don't need
And they're
leads like
selling
that.
leads, which is
They're
hilarious.
selling leads.
Yeah.
They're selling leads, and it's done so badly. I'm sure people can do automation right. I just haven't seen it yet at all. So first of all, you have to know your ICP. You have to be very, very clued in on what their points of pain are and how to solve them. You have to be very, very clear on how you and your product or your service solves them. And then you have to earn the right to talk to them. Like just because you're connected on LinkedIn or pay for in-mails, you haven't earned the right yet, right? So there are many different ways you can do that. Introductions are great. I love getting introductions or referrals because you've kind of earned the right because you've got that trusted middle person. I
Yes,
trust
yes.
you, she trusts you. Great. We've got that in common. What we call the social surround, which is just when you have your buyer persona, your ICP, and they share content on LinkedIn, like do a little happy dance. Then you can go in and start engaging on their posts. My old company, we had it's still active, something called Fly Message. And it's got a really cool fly engagement tool that it will write. It's getting smarter and smarter, and the results are getting better and better. It will write a response to the person's post in a matter of seconds instead of minutes. And you can kind of butter up, and you can change it up if you need to, but you can warm up that relationship. You can create that top of mind awareness. My friend Bob Berg always says, all things being equal, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. They don't like or trust you just because they connected to you on LinkedIn. They were doing you a favor, and now you're going to go in, elbow your way in and say, buy my stuff, or even worse, my favorite ones. I looked at your LinkedIn profile and you could really benefit from our lead
Yeah.
generation. I'm like,
Again,
do you know
selling right off the bat.
I
Yeah.
am?
And like,
Like, yeah,
no shit, right? Exactly for you.
like
That's actually hilarious. Yeah, I wrote the book on this. Like, see,
three books on this.
yeah, 3 books. So what we do is okay, so straight up, I love the automation, and I think I use it in a unique way that we invented it. So I'll tell you the process we're using, and we can
Okay,
get some
good,
feedback
good.
off you. So we started off with a connection request that's actually, we follow the profile first. And the next day
Yes.
after
Yeah.
the connection request, and with the
Yeah.
connection, it says, "Hey, we're both connected to so and so.
Mhm.
Love to connect, whatever." We've tested it. We're up to like a 40% acceptance rate, which is
Okay, cool. Yeah.
awesome on second degree connections, which is freaking, I think, cool because it was lower
Yeah.
before. With a complete
Yeah.
automation, zero human, and I insist on it, zero human input whatsoever. So we'll
Okay, interesting.
and yeah, I know, right? So, but then it's too much
I'm
because
like,
see, exactly. So I want your feedback on this, and be harsh,
yeah.
be straight up with me. I'll walk you
Yeah.
through, and then you can walk me through afterwards. I go through the connection
Yeah.
request, and then it's giving. I give them a lot of time is a free book because what we do is
Mhm.
one of our companies is
Right. Yep.
epub.ai, and we interview
Yeah.
people. So like, we do this as an agency for others as well as
Yeah.
myself. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
get the free book. And then what I do is I call it a 9-word email over LinkedIn. And so I got that from Dean Jackson. It's just a very short, expecting a reply message where it's like,
Mhm.
hey, are you still interested in lawn furniture in Arizona
Yeah.
or something. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
very specific to them, very short and expecting a reply.
Yes.
When they reply, then we either get them on the phone with a personalized image. So it'll be like the classic, again, little cheesy coffee cup with their name written on it.
Right,
So
right, exactly.
right, so
Yeah,
their
yeah,
AI writes the name on it and
yeah,
says,
yeah,
"Hey, I want to have a digital coffee with you,"
yeah,
and that works pretty well. We got 130 calls in a week for one of our clients, which was like
yeah.
it was a lot. And then
That's a lot. That's good.
it was a
Yeah,
hell of a lot, yeah, and
yeah,
it overwhelmed her. We had to turn it off, but so that's the process really. And then
yeah,
over time, we run multiple campaigns, so it does the liking of the post and kind of maintains the
yeah,
relationships over time as well.
yeah,
And that's more or less the automation that we use for it. So what do you
yeah.
think about that? How can we improve it?
Well, I think, what it's all about, and it sounds like you do this well. It's all about getting, making sure you've got the right buyer persona, like that that the automation is pulling the right information from their profile. So it's not, oh, it looks like you need a LinkedIn profile makeover. It looks like you're a specialist in industrial cleaning supplies,
Yeah,
dear
yeah,
sir. So it looks like you don't do that, which is good. Your software is intelligent enough, and hopefully with AI, the rest, it's like, anyway, it's intelligent enough to pull it that kind of information out of the profile. Um, yes, I mean, we call it the 3 and 3, and I don't see there being a reason why a computer couldn't do this as opposed to a human being. Going to someone's profile, and it would be 3 seconds rather than 3 minutes, going to someone's profile and finding things that you have in common with them in their profile. So yes, sometimes it's people in common, sometimes it's groups in common, but that's a little bit too topical for me. I'm a big fan, and this only works when they share content on LinkedIn, like, loved your latest article on blah blah blah. I agree with you, I disagree with you, whatever, but it's more relevant to them because they just wrote it, so they're like, oh, you read my article. I have a feeling your software can probably do that if they share content on
if
LinkedIn.
they
If they
share
don't,
content, yeah, for sure.
right, then it's like,
And I left some things that we do actually leverage, that we leverage the
yeah.
also from the interview. We repurpose their content and use it
Mhm.
to schedule posts years in advance, which is cool. With using
Yeah.
AI again,
That's
right?
amazing.
So it's
Yeah.
just so leveraged. But the reason
It's
why I
all,
like
yeah.
to rely on the automation so much is because I don't want to spend any time on any social media whatsoever.
No,
Like it's like
I'm with you. Yeah. It's like,
it doesn't make me happy, So I love spending time
yeah,
with
yeah,
people.
right.
So I use the AI to facilitate
Yep.
the relationships, get them on,
Yep.
and then be able to have a
Yeah.
client call and onboard them that way. So it's
And
not a
it's just as
replacement, a
long
facilitation.
as the recipient doesn't know it's automated,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And
Which you got
with
to be careful. It's
AI,
getting
it
difficult, but it's getting easier with the AI. Yeah.
exactly, with the AI, it's going to get easier. I mean, you probably used automation and AI to get this podcast with me. Like, who knows? I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But
Awkward. Got the
maybe,
crickets in the
yeah.
background.
Which
That's funny.
but most people don't do that. They just don't do it. Their processes are not that good. The other thing I really like, and I don't know how you would do this other than you could get the audio or the video already and use AI to like change the person's like name, dear Kyle. But using sending voicemails and videos on LinkedIn is also really, really powerful, and it's a differentiator,
Yes.
like the GIF with their name on it.
Right.
That
We can
anything that can
automate that
differentiate
too.
you.
We automate the hell
Hmm?
out of that. We do the GIFs.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah,
that's all automated too. But like this is
yeah.
rudimentary compared to what it's gonna be like in
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
I mean, with the deep fakes and that's coming, and yeah, I'll be able to like, well, not I'll be able to, you can do it right now is, I'll read a script and now you've got me and you've got my voice and you can have me say whatever you want me to say.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we've already
Which is
seen it
sketch.
in politics.
Yeah. We
Um,
don't know where that leads either, which is sketchy as hell.
exactly. What it comes down to, though, it comes down to PVC, personalized, add value,
Yeah.
and a call to action. Like, just don't go for the sales
Personalize the
pitch.
call to action. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
personalized, add
And
value,
see, we
call to
don't
action.
and see that's an interesting differentiation. We never sell anything on LinkedIn, exactly like you say,
Yeah,
really.
It's
it's
about the conversation.
yeah, it's about starting the conversation up. So even for the
Yeah.
call invite, it's not a invite for a
Yeah.
sales call. It's just a very simple,
No.
no persuasion whatsoever, because people
Yeah.
smell it now, especially with everybody
They
else
can
doing.
totally smell it. I
Yeah,
mean,
and so
you can smell the desperation.
yeah, exactly, right? And so we get them on the call with no
Yeah.
persuasion whatsoever, which is
Yeah.
counterintuitive to most marketing, but that's what works. And
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
call, it's all about connecting first, and then maybe down the line we start to work out a deal. But that's the mistake
Yeah.
people making, and you see it in the
It's
long
about,
messages too. It's like
yeah.
2 paragraphs long about their services. It's like, man, I don't care.
Oh
Like,
my God, who
you know,
cares? I don't care about you. Why
yeah,
would I care about, yeah, like, I know.
right.
It's when we're doing the profiles, it's all about being buyer focused, right? Your
Yes,
entire, yes, it's your profile, but it's focused on your buyer,
I
what
love
their
that.
needs are, what their fears are, what their desires are, what their wants are, whatever, however you want to. It doesn't always have to be a point of pain, but like it's them. My ego is barking in the background. I don't know if you can hear him, but
Oh my God.
I'm gonna name my next dog Ego.
You go.
Uh,
That's funny. Uh-huh. I like it.
But yeah, I mean, the whole thing. So when they go to your profile and they're like, they can recognize themselves like, yes, I am that 50 plus woman and I am in corporate and I am trying to figure out how to make my next move. And no one else has talked to me in this way before, and I'm going to give her a call. Right. But it's not about me. It's not like, oh, I'm a
Yes,
LinkedIn
yes.
expert with 22 years and blah, blah,
Nobody
blah.
gives a
Like,
shit. Yeah.
no
What
one
can you
gives a
do for
shit.
me? That's the whole thing. Yeah. The way I look at it is very like a psychedelic viewpoint, going back to this. I look at them as a sun, as the client, you call it avatar. That's what people call it, just to
Yeah.
get the message
Right.
across what
Right.
I mean. I can look at it as a sun, and
Yeah.
it's got the planets orbiting around it. And so the planets are the
Yeah.
different services that they need, the pains that they need solved.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I mean, the way I look at it is I'll position my profile around those pains, so that way I
Exactly.
fit exactly into what's already going on in their head without having to create
Yes.
new.
So they recognize themselves, and then it's about them.
Yeah,
It's not about you.
yeah, and they unconsciously think of something about
Yeah.
this, it fits with
Yeah.
me, and then
He gets me,
right, I don't know why,
Yeah.
but something, so
Yeah.
anyways,
It works for dating. It works for
yeah,
business. It's just,
right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you
right?
got a husband back there, so let me do the
Yeah,
dating
exactly.
part. I'll do.
Who
Oh, I
I
love
met
it.
on the world's worst dating website or dating sites. So yeah. But apparently I knew how to do the self-branding, so we were
There you
good.
go. I love it, man. I had so much fun with you. This has been an absolute blast. I got to run here, unfortunately, because I got another meeting in 2 minutes. But
Okay.
it was so much
It
fun
was
with you.
fun. Like we
Now I
went
gotta,
deep.
now I gotta go back to the ego level, freaking basic shit that I have to go back to
Exactly.
in the next meeting. So wish me luck with that. But I love
Good
it.
luck with that.
Thank you. I need it. All right. Well, it's been an
It's been
absolute
awesome.
pleasure. Anything you want to add before we kick this off here?
No, you've been like the best driftwood of the day. Like I've so enjoyed meeting you. This was really fun. I totally did not expect to go in that direction, but it was absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, you can find me just Viveka von Rosen, Google it. I'm everywhere, and on LinkedIn. Yeah. It's now my name. It's not LinkedIn expert like it was for 18 years. So yeah, I'd love to let me know you're on Kyle's podcast. You heard me here, and let's talk about, the observer mind and shrooms.
There you go. Dude, actually, I just got goosebumps because I gave a hitchhiker a ride today, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
It was an old lady. She was walking with literally like like a big stick in her hand, like Gandalf.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she was hitchhiking. She's actually a sweet old lady. She just
Yeah.
I don't know if she had mental health issues or something. She was very
Yeah.
far away from home. So I don't know how the hell
Yeah.
she even got there. But
She
anyway, she's
got there.
walking down the
Yeah.
street. And it turns out that the wood that she was holding in her hand was actual driftwood from the river today.
That's so
Which is
crazy,
like,
right?
it's
Driftwood,
weird.
baby.
Yeah.
But
So
that driftwood is your driftwood. You're on the right path
interesting. Well, there we
and
go.
you are
That's
in the flow.
fascinating. That is fascinating. Wow. That's exactly what you're talking about with it. And it's
Yeah,
literal
that's
driftwood
it.
in this
That's
case.
exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said she got it for her daughter's daughter because they had
Yeah.
a scouts thing. Weird, man. That's so weird. What are
That's
the
so cool. I
chances?
love that
Yeah,
shit though. That's it. Like when you're
strange.
explorer and you're open to this kind of thing, your life takes on so many different levels and it's just so much more fun.
Amazing, amazing. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. Goosebump giving. I love it. All right,
I
I'll
love it.
keep in touch with you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much
All
for
right.
this. It's been a
Yeah,
blast.
definitely. Definitely. Let me know when this goes live.
Okay, sounds good. I'll talk with you
All
soon.
right. Bye.
Bye.